Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon so you're notified of any time we put new content on. We have interviews going up daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a day. I wouldn't want you to miss any story, any memory, any discussion about a player. So please make sure you hit that bell icon. We've got some great guests lined up. I know I say that, but every week it just gets better and better, including today's guest. Today's guest played for the club 35 times in that famous 2004-05 promotional season. It's Luke Chadwick. Hi, Luke. How are you, man?
Hi, Russ. I'm good, thank you. I'm all good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, as I said before, you look nice and relaxed, nice and chilled. You've got that sort of lockdown Zoom look about you now, like you know what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm experienced with it now. I spend half my life on these Zoom calls, so quite relaxed with it.
And in general, how's lockdown been treating for you? How's lockdown? How's you been in your lockdown?
Yeah, it's been obviously strange, really strange. I think I live in a little village near Cambridge where you don't really appreciate the enormity of the situation. You don't only really see what's going on the news and that sort of thing. So it's been good in a way, spending time. I've got 2 teenage boys who probably I wouldn't have the opportunity to spend much time with if this situation weren't in place. Bit more time with the missus and that sort of thing. I think we're probably at a stage now where we're getting a bit sick of each other and wanting to get back to normal. But we've had some good laughs while in the period we've been off.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. It's it's getting that to that stage, isn't it? With people in your household, where it's getting a bit more bit tetchy now, isn't it? There's little things, leaving a cup on the side, or or leaving the washing up on the side, just sort of exaggerates everything a bit more than it did say 10 weeks ago, for example. But the football's back, so. Yeah. The football's back. We've got this. We were promised the summer of football. We do have it. Not the summer we wanted, obviously. Have you caught much of the football that's been at much of the Premier League that's been happening?
Yeah, as much as possible, really trying to get it all. There's so much on at the minute. We watched Man United yesterday, tea time. They looked very impressive against Sheffield United, who seem to have struggling a little bit since they're on such a rich run of form, but now since we've been back, they've looked like they're struggling. They might slip out the European places. Obviously, Wolves got a great result at West Ham the other day. They look like they're pushing on a bit. So it's all exciting stuff. Of course, hopefully West Ham can come out of the little rut they're in and get out of the trouble. I think it is really tight down there, and who knows what's going to happen. I do think the results are going to be really mixed up with no fans being it, and I think that's a massive loss for West Ham, obviously, with the fans not being in the stadium.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's one of those. I've always seen both sides of the coin, so to speak. Because it's a shame that the fans, because I think a lot of players feed off the fan interaction, and the cheering and stuff. But the other side is some players, they're not not mentally strong enough. That's the wrong word. But if they're not, sometimes no pressure. There's in essence, in a way, there's no pressure, and it's and I think we'll see what happens. Yeah, so we've got Chelsea next week, and then we've got a run of games which apparently should be winnable. I think West Ham quite fortunate. We get to play, the Villas, and I mean we've got Villa the last game of the season at London Stadium. That could be an epic game. That could be, everything else could be decided apart from that last spot potentially. So. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Anyway, we won't worry about that. That's weeks away. Although it's not. It gets so quickly. These games are being mental. It's like the World Cup, isn't it? Every day there's like 3 or 4 games on. It's hard to keep up. I didn't even realise. I was looking at something and I was like, oh, I forgot Wolves are playing, because I wanted to watch them, because obviously they're playing Bournemouth and we had a vested interest. And there's been another 3 or 4 games as well. And I was like, oh God, I can't keep up so much of this now. But it is what it is, as you said. Now, obviously, what we do with this channel is we talk about memories, talk about West Ham memories specifically. And obviously, we interview loads of fans about their memories of the club, supporting the club. And obviously, we interview the players about their time playing for the club. And obviously, you came in on that 2004-05 season and obviously went up, through the playoffs with Preston, or, played Preston in the final. And the question I always ask all players when I have the privilege to interview them is why West Ham, Luke? Because obviously you came as a free, but why West Ham? What was the story to get to West Ham?
I think I was on tour at the time in America with the Man United first team. I was just sort of there as a squad player, and a call come through. The manager told me that West Ham had been on, and the club were looking I was looking to leave. The club were happy for me to let me go. So I was absolutely delighted because obviously West Ham's a huge club and I worked with Pards at Reading, so he knew me from my time there. I just had my first child with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm from Cambridge, so it gave me the opportunity to move back, which we were looking to move back to the area. So it all just fitted nicely. There was a bit of interest from Ipswich, I think, that I was sort of mulling over. But I think when West Ham, the opportunity came through to go to West Ham, I sort of jumped at it. It being such a big club, such a great opportunity to be part of a team that gets back to the Premier League. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I was absolutely delighted to sign for West Ham.
Yeah, brilliant. As you said, having worked with Pardew, knowing Reading, obviously, you knew what you were sort of getting yourself into in terms of Pardew. What was he like as a manager?
Pardew, brilliant. I love working for him. I think he always believed in himself. I think it's a good way of putting it. I think he loved the part, like sort of the being on the TV, the interviews, that sort of thing. Had a real good personality. He expected a lot from his players, but at the same time, he gave a lot back as well. I thought that season at West Ham, when I was there and played, I've never seen a manager come back from the situation he was in. I've never seen a manager be under so much pressure from the crowd, from the board, from everything, and not get sacked and carry on and produce what he produced and get the club promoted and then go on to do some incredible things. So I think he deserves huge credit for his character of coming back from the sort of pressure he was under that season.
Yeah, you're right. Obviously, because we'd lost the season before, in the playoffs to Palace, and there was a little bit of, like, obviously you coming in, you was part of a procession of new players we brought in. Obviously, Jimmy Walker and Teddy and people like that. What's it like when sort of you're like the new boys coming into a club?
I think footballers are quite similar in general, really. I think it doesn't matter too much where you cut, what dressing room you go into go for now. I think it's always quickly to get bedded in and become part of it. There was really good characters at the club at the time. I think Christian Daly was the skipper when I first come in, and he was really good at making everyone feel welcome. And we all sort of found quite easily to enjoy being around each other and enjoy being part of the team at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. You were right. There was some big characters there, and obviously, people like Jimmy coming in. Jimmy was a big Jimmy Walker's a good character. We've got him on the channel soon as well. But obviously, seeing people like, it must have been sort of encouraging when you're coming in and you're seeing guys like Teddy Sheringham coming in and people like that. Because I think Teddy was like top league striker for us that year in terms of goals. I think Marlon was the best, was like overall. I think Teddy got 20 goals. You must have thought, this is looking good, this squad coming in now.
Yeah, obviously I played with Teddy at Man United, and for me he was just a dream to play with. He's so intelligent when you wrap the ball into it. It don't matter if you give him a bad pass, which I did quite a lot, but he'd control it and then give it you back where you wanted it. And Teddy was obviously a dream to play with. I think when I come in, Michael Carrick was still there, who's obviously a world-class footballer. Bobby Zamora, Marlon Harewood, the list is endless. It was to be fair, with the squad that was there that season, it probably should have won that league, I think, with players that were there, but not just sort of creep into the playoffs late on. But at the end of the day, it got to where it wanted to. The club got to where it needed to be, and promotion was secured, albeit through the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, there was that sort of that run towards the end, wasn't there? Where I think we lost one in the last 10 games, and there was a lot of games we'd win. And we creeped in, as you said, from 7. Literally got into that 6th spot. But that usually happens in the playoffs, isn't it? It's the team which goes in with form. It's a cliche, but it happens more often than not. The team with form ends up going to win it because they've got the momentum behind them. And you're right. You had some good characters. In that season, Luke, obviously, there must have been some highlights, some maybe obviously playing famously under the lights at Upton Park. Everyone speaks romantically about that. But what were some of sort of the big, the fun times or the highlights of your sort of period at West Ham?
I think when I first come in and I was 100% fit and I sort of came on against Reading and set a goal up for Teddy on my debut and had some real good performances early on, but then sort of the same old story, really. I couldn't really keep myself fit enough and stay in the team. And really, I never really done myself justice in terms. I think I was going through a real big transition period in the way I played. When I come through at United, my game was all about running really fast with the ball and running past people, where I probably didn't develop other parts of my game. And when I lost a bit of that pace, when United let me go after a couple of injuries, I never really, it took me probably 4-5 years to turn into the player that could be effective again in games. Although I had a few decent games at West Ham, I had a few bad ones as well, but always like to think throughout my career I've worked as hard as I could to, not always brilliant on the ball or that sort of thing, but always worked as hard as I could. But I really loved my time at West Ham, obviously getting promoted, and I think it was a case of the best thing that happened for the club, of course, was getting promoted, but probably the worst thing for me, because we come back in for pre-season, I was doing really well, thinking, back in the Premier League now, and then they went and bloody signed Jose Benayoun, who unfortunately was a much better player than me, and I was in surplus to requirement. So I loved being at West Ham. It was great in terms of being back home with my family, and such a great bunch of lads. And although the fans, very demanding, without a doubt, had let you know when you weren't doing your job properly, at the same time, when you're winning games, there was no better place to be. And obviously to be part of the squad, not playing a huge part, but a part of the squad that got the club promoted back to the Premier League, where it definitely belongs.
Yeah. No, definitely. And obviously, being on that right wing, you're quite close to that chicken run, that east stand. And as you said, if the players, if the players don't put it in, those fans let them know along that chicken run. That's for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. You'd hear the odd thing. It was very rare I'd hear something positive, but when I did, it meant a lot. That's for sure. But it was like all the whole stadium, like walking out at Upton Park with Forever Blowing Bubbles, seeing the bubbles coming out. It was great for me to say that I experienced that in my football career.
No, I get that. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's true. Yeah, it's people do joke about the bubbles and singing that, but it's synonymous. I think it's one of those songs that football fans obviously they mock and stuff like that. But they're not West Ham fans. But it's something about it when everyone sings that song together. Yeah, and hopefully soon. We don't know when, but we'll be back singing together at London Stadium, singing that, the 60,000 singing it soon. It might take another year, who knows? But with getting everyone back in the stadiums, but certainly not this season, but hopefully next season. Anyway, Luke, obviously it was as you said, you've already mentioned some players that you played with during that time. What we like to do with all the fans and all the players we interview is doing this Hammers 11. So sort of picking the 11 players that you played with at the time, obviously. We try and keep it to a 4-4-2 to make it easy, partly because I'm not very good at video editing or anything. It's not a problem with the sort of the younger players, Luke, like yourself. With the older players, they start putting in left halves and inside lefts. And I'm like, what the fuck's all this? So, but 4-4-2, we can keep it. I can even stretch the wing backs. I've got, but we'll keep it 4-4.
No, 4-4-2 is good with me.
That's good. So who's going to go in goal for the Chadwick Hammers 11 then?
That is I didn't play with a huge amount of people. No. I was obviously only there regularly for one season, but two fantastic goalkeepers, but two great lads as well, which makes it even tougher. Obviously, Jimmy was a great character, but I'm going to have to go with my old roommate, Stevie Bywater.
Oh, was he your roomie? Was he your roomie?
He was your roomie, so sorry to Jimmy. He was a great keeper as well, but I'll have to go with Steve.
Yeah, we'll put Steve in. And obviously, it started, didn't it? It started with Steve was like number one, and Jimmy was, and then towards the season it went the other way, didn't it? And obviously Jimmy famously started for that sort of playoff final, and then got injured towards the end. I think he got booked as well, like on the stretcher. The ref booked him, which I always thought was an insult to injury. But it's we were blessed. I think West Ham have always been quite blessed with goalkeepers. We've always had a good, strong goalkeeper, albeit a period last season when we didn't. But that was only because Roberto was a backup keeper. But we've already done quite well with goalkeepers. But we'll put Stephen in, old Bywater. Okay, who's going to go left back for you then, Luke?
Left back, no, another choice of two really good professionals out of Rufus Brevitt or Chris Powell. I think I'm going to give it to Powley just because he had a couple of England caps in there as well, and he was the age that he was getting to, like how old he was getting away, he kept himself in shape. So 2 great professionals, but I'm going to go Powley at left back.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll put Chrissy P in. Nice shout. Okay, let's go right back then. Let's go the other side then, Luke.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think I'm going to go with Mr. Consistent, maybe out of position a little bit, but Hayden Mullins at right back. Real consistent player.
Yeah, he was. And I think he's one of those players. He's come up a couple of times in conversations with sort of the not the young, the less experienced fans, I call them. Don't call old fans. They're not old, they're experienced. The lesser experienced fans. They would say, yeah, I think Mullins gets he gets lost in the wash a little bit. I think in terms of he was a bloody good player for us. And he said Mr. Consistency did a lot of that sort of, you know, when you're a kid, it's all about the strikers and the flashy players. And then when you go back and watch, like I've watched all these old games again, you get an appreciation for the workhorses, you know, the sort of the right backs and things like that, who might not necessarily have got the goals, but they were sort of they put themselves about a bit. And Hayden Mullins was one of those. And obviously, famously, he got him and Louis Garcia had a fight, didn't they, when we were in the Premier League, the last game of the season, and obviously they were both suspended for the FA Cup final because we were playing each other. And now Hayden Mullins, good shout. Okay, let's go centre backs then, Luke. Who's your first centre back then?
So centre halves, I'm going to go. The first one, I'm going to go with youth, and the two lads were absolutely fantastic that season. So I'm going to go Anton as the right-sided centre half. He's just got the nod over Thomas Repka, because I'll be worried that Tom would have got sent off at some stage. So I'm going with Anton at centre half.
Okay, what was Thomas Repka like as a teammate? I've never had the chance to ask anyone that question.
Oh, he didn't speak a brilliant amount of English or anything like that, but he was just a great lad. He'd come in, worked hard every day, didn't always start the games, although he was sort of a established international that had played a lot of Premier League football, but didn't really moan about it. Still had a go in training every day, worked hard, and I think he just was a bit erratic at times, maybe, and sort of missed a lot of games through suspension and the like.
I know, but he was a lovely guy. All right, we'll put Anton in. Okay, who's Anton going to partner then, Luke, in the middles?
Again, I'm going to go with Elliot Ward, who I thought was absolutely brilliant towards the end of that season. I'm giving him the hot nod as well, ahead of Christian Daly and Malky Mackay, so he better perform for me.
And as you said, it was a lovely balance. Thinking about it now, even more so, there was a good balance. You said there, obviously Elliot Ward and Anton Ferdinand, Malky Mackay and Christian Daly. It was a nice, little balance. You had that experience, and obviously someone like Malky came in just after you, if I remember. It was a nice, we could do with some of that now, to be honest. Nice bit of experience mixed in with youth, So it seems at the moment it's either one or the other. You either have youthful players, a youthful team, or you have an experienced team which is creaking at the hinges, so to speak. But Elliot Ward, good shout. I love this. That's what I love about his show, because all these players get time, not time to shine. That's the wrong expression, but they get recognised again. And again, someone like Elliot Ward, not necessarily anyone's, because you played with him in your time. He gets a shout out, and it's great. And we'll get him on the channel. We're getting Anton on soon, so I'm going to get Elliot on as well. Okay, good shout. We'll put Elliot in. Let's go midfield. Let's go left midfield then, Luke.
I'd have to say Matty Everington. I think he must have played every single game there, and he was wonderful end product, Matty. Whenever he got in that position, he'd find a cross, and he was a real consistent performer that season. Probably one of the top players, I'd say, in the league that season that we went out.
Yeah, most definitely, Matty Everington. And again, sort of, I've said it before to other people, sort of, I think obviously, you were still in sort of doing the trade, the academies and stuff. Someone like Matty Everington, I think the game's lost that sort of. He's like an old school winger. Do you know what I mean? Just quick. They play him on the right foot, left foot, because he's left footed. And all he did was just beat the man, cross it in, and football seems to be really complicated now. You put left wingers on the right wingers on the left, and you miss that sort of just bombing it and beating the fullback and crossing it in. And he was one of those sort of, West Ham had a procession of them. Before Matty, we had a guy called Stan Lazaridis, who was the same type of player. Matthew Rush, we had Matty Holmes, all these guys who literally would just run down the wings like yourself. You put them you were on the right wing, that's what you did. We don't do it anymore now. It seems football gets too complicated.
I think the way the game's changed, I think that's more probably expected of the fullback now. Their workload is to be that winger as well as a fullback and sort of give you opportunity to get another man inside the pitch, so you've got good numbers in there. So I think that is definitely the way the game has changed a lot, with more inverted wingers, players playing a little bit narrower to give that space for the fullbacks to bomb on. But fortunately, that's happening now, and I managed to still nick a career out of being a winger for the last 15 years or whatever it was.
I know. I'll put back to you. Good chat. Who's going to go right wing, Luke? This will be interesting.
Yeah, I did think about putting myself in, but didn't play with him that much. But it's got to be Yossi, because he was a wizard.
Yeah,
playing that, he'd sort of be one that come inside and find them positions. But he was the reason that I left West Ham, really, because I was told I was surplus to requirements. So I probably shouldn't really put him in my team, really. But I'll forgive him and put Yossi in as a wide right.
Yeah, but then you went to Stoke and you had a great career at Stoke, didn't you, afterwards? So
Thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'm only messing about.
I know you were.
He was a fantastic player. I mean, sure, you know as well as me, you watched him play enough, but he was a real intelligent footballer and very effective.
Yeah, and I definitely put Yoshi in. Okay, let's go centre midfields. Then, Luke, who's your first midfielder, the centre mid?
So, although he left soon after I arrived, I think it has to be Carrick. He was an absolute Rolls Royce of a footballer. Sort of been past short, long, always found a bit of time on the ball, and it was to see what he'd done at West Ham and then the career he went on to have at Manchester United. He was maybe a little underrated by many. I think he is right at the top end in terms of that sort of holding midfielder and a world-class player.
No, I agree. And again, I think similar to not putting him in the same bracket, but like Hayden Mullins was a little bit, he wasn't necessarily, because he was a workhorse in the defensive, he might not have got the accolades, particularly, at West Ham. I mean, we obviously had a procession of academy players coming through. We had him, we had Joe Cole, we had Carrot, we had like Rio, we had Glenn Johnson, we had all these sort of players coming through. And I think he got a little bit lost in the wash a little bit. Second time I've used that expression ever now in this video. But you know what I mean? I think, now it's one of those things. I'm a great believer of the adage, you don't believe, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And when he wasn't in the team, and you saw the effect he had on Tottenham and obviously Man United, and it's one of those sliding doors moments, because obviously you joined when we'd obviously just lost to Crystal Palace. There was a moment in that Crystal Palace game where Carrick got taken down and he should have had a penalty. And if he had a penalty, we would have scored, and we would have gone up, and the rest would have been history. But it's one of those moments that people always go back and talk about what could have been. But we'll put Mickey Carrick in. Good shout. Okay, who's Michael going to partner in that central midfield positions then, Luke?
So I was out of two. It was either going to be Nigel Rio-Coker or Mark Noble, but I think it's got to be Nobes for what he's gone on to achieve at the club, the amount of time, his longevity there. And I was actually lucky enough to play in his full debut, where I think it was Norwich City in the FA Cup that season where he played, and I think he was the man of the match in that game, and I'm sure he's gone on to win many more over the last however many bloody years it's been since he came into the team. But I think Nigel Rio-Coker was very good that season, but I think it'll go Nobes is the man to partner Carrick. Nice little partnership.
Yeah, nice little partnership. And obviously we'll take Mark in his when he was playing for you in that era, because obviously he'd have a lot more energy, more box to box, and Carrick could just hold and ping the quarterback position, sort of ping those balls in. Well, I'll put Nobes in. I agree with everything you say. The man he's the modern day Mr. West Ham for me. And again, sort of similarly, we talk about how the game's changed. Players don't hang around for 10 years anymore, and that's very, very rare. I mean, I can only think of maybe half a dozen testimonial years. Obviously Vinnie Company had one, Gary Neville had one, Carrick, Mark Noble. Can't think of many more, really, to be fair, nowadays. Well, obviously, I interviewed a lot of the older players, and every year was a testimonial year, and obviously, they'd unlike nowadays where they use it for charity, they will use it to supplement their income because they're going to retire. All right, okay, let's go up front then. Now this is going to be interesting because they had some good strikers you played with during their time at West Ham. Who's your first striker then, Luke?
So first name on the team sheet and skipper, Teddy Sheringham. I can't.
Yeah.
He's the top dog. Cool as a
Yeah.
cucumber. It's got to be Teddy in there as a skipper.
Yeah, good shout. We'll put Teddy in. And as you said, you worked with him at United and stuff. And again, that experienced head, particularly in the Championship, he was head and shoulders above, as I said, got 20 goals that season and obviously then he stayed with us in the Premier League, scored goals in the Premier League, and incredible how, such an age he was still doing it. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's so intelligent, really, just knew where to be all the time, really, always found space in the box as well where he could score goals. He was an absolute, one of the best, Teddy.
Yeah.
Great fella and a great footballer as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'll put Teddy in. And who's Teddy going to partner then, Luke?
This is another massive decision for me. Obviously, Bobby or Marlon, both. Bobby came good at the end of the season. Marlon had a really good season. I'm going to go with Bobby Zamora because of the goal at Cardiff that got the club promoted again. But that is a real tough decision. But to credit to Bobby, went through a spell where he was under a bit of pressure for not scoring, getting a bit of stick with the crowd, but come through that and achieved what he achieved. But Marlon had a great season as well. But Teddy and Bobby will be the starting partnership up top.
Yeah, nice. There's some goals in there. Luke, man, it's been great chatting. As I said, I'm always going to take half an hour of your time, and that's what I've taken, almost the minute. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Appreciate, it's another Zoom call. It's another video conferencing call, but it's been really nice talking to you. Generally lovely. Thank you. It's been great fun.
No worries. It's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking about football to anyone. So it's great chatting to you, and I hope it goes well.
Thank you. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. Very humbled by all the messages and sort of support, you guys. I read everyone. And until next time, from me and Luke, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.